Here's a statistic that will blow your mind. Sarcosuchus imperator had 132 teeth in total, 35 on each side of its upper jaw and 31 on each side of its lower jaw, nearly 4 times more than a modern great white shark. This 31-foot prehistoric crocodilian didn't just dwarf today's largest crocs by about half their length. Again, it packed enough dental firepower to make any dinosaur think twice about approaching the water's edge. But here's what's really fascinating. Those teeth weren't arranged like you'd expect. The massive overbite created by its elongated upper jaw gave it a bite pattern unlike anything alive today, perfectly designed for a hunting strategy that modern science is still trying to understand. Modern saltwater crocodiles command respect as apex predators, reaching lengths of around 7 meters and dominating their aquatic territories with calculated precision. These formidable hunters represent the pinnacle of crocodilian evolution in our current world. Yet during the early Cretaceous period, the rivers of ancient Africa harbored something that made today's largest crocodiles look modest by comparison. Sarcosuchus imperator obliterated every size limit we associate with crocodilian predators. This colossal reptile stretched between 9 and 9.5 meters from snout to tail, equivalent to the length of a large city bus, while tipping the scales at an estimated 3.5 to 4.3 metric tons. To put this in perspective, that's still more than the weight of the largest recorded saltwater crocodile. Despite its crocodile-like appearance and lifestyle, Sarcosuchus belonged to an entirely different evolutionary lineage, a distant relative rather than a direct ancestor of modern crocodilians. The creature's most distinctive feature was its continuous armor plating that ran from the lower neck region all the way to the middle of its tail. These bony plates, called osteoderms, formed an interlocking protective barrier, unlike anything seen in contemporary crocodilians. Each osteoderm fitted perfectly with its neighbors, creating an unbreakable defensive shell that no predator of its time could penetrate. The armor system was so comprehensive that an adult Sarcosuchus became essentially invulnerable to attack from above or from the sides. Sarcosuchus belonged to the Phalidosauridæ family, a group of crocodiliform reptiles that evolved separately from the lineage that produced modern crocodiles, alligators, and gharials. Within this family, it shared the closest relationships with the North American genus Terminanaris, but represented a unique evolutionary experiment in freshwater gigantism. The Phalidosauridæ family specialized in aquatic environments, with most members developing elongated snouts and water-adapted lifestyles. The path to such an enormous size required an extraordinary commitment to growth. Analysis of trunk osteoderms from subadult specimens reveals that Sarcosuchus achieved its massive proportions through an extended juvenile phase lasting 50 to 60 years, an unusually long growth period even for large crocodilomorphs of its era. While modern wild crocodilians rarely survive to such advanced ages, Sarcosuchus dedicated decades to gradual size accumulation. This extended growth period allowed the animal to methodically build its formidable bulk while simultaneously refining its hunting techniques through years of practice. The growth rings preserved within the osteoderms function like tree rings, providing paleontologists with precise age estimates for individual specimens. These bony plates served dual purposes as both defensive armor and biological record keepers, documenting the creature's lengthy journey to adult size. The combination of extended lifespan and continuous growth created the perfect conditions for achieving unprecedented crocodiliform dimensions. Sarcosuchus represents the ultimate expression of crocodiliform gigantism, a uniquely armored behemoth that dominated through sheer defensive superiority and massive scale. This evolutionary experiment produced one of the most formidable freshwater predators in Earth's history, combining size, armor, and longevity into a nearly perfect aquatic predator. But the most intriguing aspects of this ancient giant lay hidden in the details of its skull structure. Every Sarcosuchus skull discovered so far by paleontologists contains a bizarre dome-like structure that has puzzled scientists for decades. This enigmatic feature sits prominently at the tip of the creature's elongated snout, present in every specimen recovered from the fossil beds of Niger, yet no modern crocodilian possesses anything remotely similar. The snout itself dominated the skull's architecture, comprising roughly 75% of the total skull length and housing a precisely engineered dental arsenal. Within this elongated structure, 132 conical teeth were arranged in exact mathematical precision. 35 teeth positioned along each side of the upper jaw and 31 teeth distributed across each side of the lower jaw. These teeth weren't randomly placed, but followed a specific pattern that created optimal spacing for prey capture and retention. The mysterious nasal bulla remains one of paleontology's greatest unsolved puzzles. Scientists have compared this bulbous expansion to the gara found in male gharials, but crucial differences distinguish the two structures. While gharials develop their gara only during sexual maturity, and only in males, the nasal bulla appeared in every Sarcosuchus skull, regardless of age or presumed sex. This universal presence suggests the structure served an essential biological function rather than a reproductive display mechanism. Theories about the bulla's purpose range from sensory enhancement to respiratory assistance during prolonged submersion, though these remain hypotheses since the exact function is not definitively known. Some researchers propose it functioned as an acoustic resonator amplifying sounds during underwater communication or prey detection. Others suggest it housed specialized chemoreceptors that could detect minute chemical traces left by potential prey moving along riverbanks. The structure might have even served multiple functions, simultaneously combining sensory, respiratory, and acoustic capabilities into a single adaptive feature. The pronounced overbite, created by Sarcosuchus's longer upper jaws, established a distinctive bite pattern that differed dramatically from modern crocodilians. When the jaws closed, a noticeable gap remained between the upper and lower teeth, preventing the interlocking grip that characterizes contemporary crocodile bites. This anatomical arrangement, combined with the smooth crowned tooth design, reveals a hunting strategy focused entirely on grasping and holding rather than crushing or dismembering prey. Specialized sensory organs dotted the skull surface, particularly concentrated around the jaw margins and snout tip. These integumentary sense organs potentially detected minute temperature variations, chemical signatures, and vibrations transmitted through water or substrate. The concentration of these sensors around the nasal bulla suggests this mysterious structure played a central role in the creature's sensory processing capabilities. The dental arrangement represented a perfect biological trap for struggling prey. The stout, conical teeth with smooth crowns were engineered for penetration and grip retention, allowing the creature to maintain an unbreakable hold on prey weighing several tons. This specialized anatomy was perfectly adapted for the rich river systems where multiple giants competed for dominance. The humid river systems of early Cretaceous Africa supported not one, but multiple apex predators in an ecosystem unlike anything on Earth today. The Gadufawa region of Niger's TNR Desert transformed into a lush tropical paradise approximately 112 million years ago, where massive river networks created the perfect conditions for supporting diverse megafauna. These ancient waterways flowed through dense forests and expansive wetlands, providing abundant resources that could sustain creatures of extraordinary size and appetite. Sarcosuchus dominated these productive waters alongside other formidable predators, though the exact geographical overlap with species like Spinosaurus requires careful consideration of their specific locations within the broader early Cretaceous landscape. Supremacy, another spinosaurid with similar aquatic adaptations, competed for fish resources along the riverbanks within the same Elhaz formation. The presence of multiple massive predators in this freshwater fluvial environment demonstrates the incredible productivity of these ancient African rivers. Giant fish provided the foundation of this aquatic food web, with species like Lepidotus reaching lengths of over 2 meters and Morsonia growing even larger. These prehistoric fish possessed thick armored scales and powerful swimming capabilities that made them challenging prey even for massive predators. However, the most valuable targets were the dinosaurs that regularly visited the water's edge to drink and feed on aquatic vegetation. Herbivorous dinosaurs made frequent pilgrimages to these river systems, creating predictable opportunities for ambush predators. Ouranosaurus, a distinctive sail-backed herbivore, gathered in herds along the riverbanks to access fresh water and nutrient-rich plants. Nigersaurus, with its unusual vacuum cleaner mouth filled with hundreds of tiny teeth, spent considerable time near water sources filtering plant material. These regular visitors provided Sarcosuchus with access to prey weighing several tons. Calcium isotope analysis reveals that Sarcosuchus maintained a remarkably diverse diet, rather than specializing in a single prey type. Fish comprised approximately 58% of the calcium fraction in the analyzed specimens, while the remaining portion came from terrestrial dinosaurs. This dietary flexibility allowed Sarcosuchus to exploit multiple ecological niches, simultaneously reducing competition with more specialized predators and ensuring consistent food availability throughout seasonal changes. The ecosystem's extraordinary productivity supported multiple apex predators without leading to resource depletion, indicating biodiversity levels that exceed anything seen in modern freshwater environments. The abundance of both aquatic and terrestrial prey created a complex food web where different predators could coexist through niche partitioning. Different species likely focused on specific hunting zones within the same river system to minimize direct confrontation. Sarcosuchus occupied the critical interface between land and water, where drinking dinosaurs became most vulnerable. This strategic positioning required specialized adaptations that transformed the armored giant into something far more dangerous than its size alone suggested. The creature's most devastating adaptation lay in its unique visual system engineered for underwater surveillance. Sarcosuchus possessed dorsally oriented eye sockets that functioned like biological periscopes, allowing this massive predator to lurk just below the surface with only its eyes exposed above the waterline. This submarine-like positioning provided complete concealment for a 4-ton body while maintaining perfect visual surveillance of the riverbanks where unsuspecting dinosaurs gathered to drink. When thirsty herbivores approached the water's edge, they had no way of detecting the armored giant watching from below. The murky waters of ancient African rivers provided ideal camouflage, while Sarcosuchus's dorsally positioned eyes allowed continuous monitoring without revealing its presence. Dinosaurs like Ouranosaurus and Nigersaurus regularly visited these water sources, creating predictable opportunities for a patient ambush predator willing to wait for the perfect moment to strike. The ambush sequence began with silent positioning, using the powerful tail for precise propulsion while maintaining perfect buoyancy control. Sarcosuchus could adjust its depth and angle of approach without creating surface disturbances that might alert potential prey. The creature's massive bulk actually worked to its advantage during these underwater maneuvers, providing the momentum needed for explosive strikes while remaining virtually undetectable from above the waterline. Specialized sensory organs dotting the skull could detect the slightest vibrations as heavy dinosaurs approached the shoreline, triggering the attack response. These integumentary sensors functioned like biological seismographs, picking up the ground tremors created by multi-ton herbivores moving along the riverbank. The nasal bulla may have enhanced these sensory capabilities, potentially amplifying underwater sound waves or chemical signals that indicated approaching prey. The strike itself relied on explosive power, rather than the death roll, with the massive jaws clamping down and dragging prey into deeper water. Unlike modern crocodilians that depend on rotational movements to disorient victims, Sarcosuchus employed brute force and overwhelming size to subdue its targets. The initial impact delivered enough momentum to knock even large dinosaurs off balance, while the powerful jaws maintained an unbreakable grip throughout the struggle. Drowning became the primary killing method, with the victim held underwater by sheer weight and strength until they stopped struggling. A 4-ton predator possessed more than enough mass to pin down many herbivorous dinosaurs, while the specialized dental arrangement ensured no escape was possible once the jaws closed. The 132 conical teeth weren't designed for cutting, but for maintaining an unbreakable grip on struggling prey. The smooth-crowned teeth penetrated flesh without causing immediate fatal damage, allowing Sarcosuchus to maintain control while the drowning process eliminated the victim. This method proved remarkably efficient, requiring minimal energy expenditure while guaranteeing successful kills against appropriately sized prey species. This ambush strategy established Sarcosuchus as a dominant predator across entire river stretches, though recent biomechanical research has revealed unexpected constraints on this seemingly perfect killing machine. A 2014 biomechanical study revealed a fundamental limitation that forced scientists to completely reconsider how Sarcosuchus actually killed its prey. For decades, paleontologists had assumed that, like modern crocodiles, this prehistoric giant employed the death roll to dismember large prey after drowning them. The death roll represents one of nature's most effective dismemberment techniques, allowing crocodilians to tear apart carcasses by spinning rapidly in the water while maintaining their grip. Detailed analysis of the skull structure and jaw mechanics published in Historical Biology revealed that the relatively narrow snout couldn't withstand the immense stress of rolling with large prey. The death roll maneuver requires specific jaw proportions and muscle arrangements that generate tremendous rotational forces throughout the skull. Modern crocodiles possess robust, wide skulls with reinforced jaw joints that can handle these extreme mechanical stresses. Sarcosuchus simply didn't possess these anatomical features despite its massive overall size and powerful bite force. The narrow, elongated snout that made Sarcosuchus so effective at grasping prey became a severe liability when it came to processing large carcasses. While the 132 conical teeth could penetrate and hold multi-ton dinosaurs with devastating efficiency, the skull architecture lacked the structural reinforcement necessary for rotational dismemberment. The biomechanical analysis showed that attempting a death roll with large prey would likely result in catastrophic skull fractures, particularly around the jaw joints and snout base. And after drowning a multi-ton dinosaur, Sarcosuchus faced the significant challenge of processing the carcass without its most effective dismemberment tool. Alternative feeding strategies likely involved rapid, powerful jaw movements to tear flesh in a more linear fashion, similar to how gharials process large fish. Some researchers propose that cooperative feeding may have occurred if multiple individuals were present, allowing them to collectively dismember large carcasses through coordinated pulling actions rather than individual death rolls. The discovery suggests that Sarcosuchus may have specialized in smaller prey than previously thought, focusing on targets that could be swallowed whole or processed without requiring extensive dismemberment. This hypothesis proposes that fish, juvenile dinosaurs, and other animals weighing less than a few hundred kilograms would have been far more manageable for a predator with these anatomical constraints. Alternatively, the creature may have developed entirely different carcass processing methods that remain unknown to paleontologists. The elongated snout, containing approximately 132 teeth, was perfectly adapted for grasping and drowning prey, but these same adaptations created unexpected limitations in prey processing. The specialized anatomy that allowed Sarcosuchus to dominate the rich river systems of ancient Africa came with evolutionary trade-offs that constrained its hunting capabilities in ways that weren't immediately obvious from fossil evidence alone. The death roll debate demonstrates how even the most fearsome predators had evolutionary compromises that affected their ecological success. These biomechanical constraints would prove particularly problematic when environmental pressures began mounting during the mid-Cretaceous period. Despite its evolutionary success, Sarcosuchus ultimately fell victim to the same environmental forces that claim numerous other crocodilomorph lineages during the mid-Cretaceous period. Around 95 million years ago, climate shifts transformed the lush river systems of the El Raz Formation into increasingly arid landscapes. The productive freshwater environments that supported multiple apex predators gradually disappeared, disrupting the habitats of these giant crocodiliforms and marking the end of the age of freshwater titans. This extinction represented part of a broader pattern affecting crocodilomorph diversity worldwide as changing climates reshaped entire ecosystems. The next time you see a modern crocodile, remember that it represents just one branch of a family tree that once produced 31-foot armored giants capable of hunting dinosaurs.